You are now witnessing episode 17 on the Indus Corner podcast. I'm back at it again, episode 17. It's your host, the legend Todd Finney himself. Y'all know what the slogan is, no BS boxing. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back. Uh, this is kind of an unexpected episode for me. I just decided to get on and, just go live, just chop it up. This is probably going to be a real short podcast. I may do this, this joint for maybe 30 minutes or less. You know what I'm saying? So, um, before we get started, I just want to thank everybody, who tuned in with me when I covered, the Jake Paul versus, Tommy Fury fight. I started my podcast about 8 months ago. That fight got the most views. So, I appreciate everybody, who tuned in and, watch that fight with me. Who shout out to my guy, Wilton Henry, from Last Ones at the Bar. Who shout out to him and his co-host, Val Jackson for coming on with me. Also, who shout out to, my guy, Chris G. We covered, the Jeremiah Ponce versus Matias fight, last Saturday on Showtime. That was an awesome fight, until the stoppage. Also, I want to give a huge shout out to, Destiny Day Owens, for taking the interview with me, on Monday. So, I've been real busy on the channel, you know what I mean? Saturday, I covered the fight with Matias and Ponce. Sunday, I covered the fight, Jake Paul, Tommy Fury. Monday, I had an interview with Destiny Day Owens. And, here I am doing, episode 17. So, I'm definitely been putting in work. And working hard behind the scenes. So appreciate everybody that's been rocking with me. Yeah, so like I said, man, I just got some things I wanted to chop up. First I want to get into this Adrien Broner situation. It's obviously Adrien Broner. He parted ways. With Black Prime Network. uh I see I got somebody tuned in. So whoever's tuned in, man, if you can hear me, drop something in the comment section for me, because I got on some new headphones. Just got some new headphones, so I want to make sure this is working properly, So who's ever tuned in, drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know if you can hear me clearly. Yeah, so I wanted to talk about, this Adrien Broner situation. I feel for Adrien Broner. You know what I'm saying? I feel for Adrien Broner, man. He had a fight lined up last year, on PBC. I got my guy Ryan Hanley tuned in with me. So Ryan Hanley says, "What's up, man? Who shout out to Ryan Hanley, man? You've been rocking with me since day one. Hey Ryan, man, if you can hear me, man, let me know if you can hear me, bro. Like I said, I got on some new headphones, so if you can hear me, man, just drop something in the comment section. Let me know you can hear me clearly." Yeah, so this Adrien Broner situation, man, like I said, I really feel for Adrien Broner. He had a fight last year lined up with Omar Figueroa. That fight was going to be on Showtime, but he pulled out of that fight, due to mental health, and that's understandable. You don't want to take a fight if you're not 100%. And if you're going through some mental health stuff, then you definitely want to get your health and get your issues squared away first, before getting in that ring. All right, Ryan Haney said everything sounds all good, man. All right, appreciate it. Like I said, I got on some new headphones, so I just want to make sure this is working. All right, appreciate that, man. Yeah, so this Adrien Broner thing, man. Like I said, he was supposed to fight Omar Figueroa, but he pulled out due to mental health. So Omar Figueroa went on to fight Sergey Lipinets, and Omar Figueroa lost to Lipinets. He lost to Lipinets, and he basically retired after that. After that fight with Lipinets. I wish Broner could have got that win. You know what I'm saying? So because Broner hasn't been looking good, for a long time, yeah. So and then move on. Broner signs a deal with Black Prime Network. He had a fight lined up with Ivan Redkach, and that fight didn't happen. So Redkach had like promotional issues or management issues, so that fight fell apart. And then we move on to Hank Lundy, and which I thought would have been a good scrap, because I seen Hank Lundy fight live 2 times, a few years ago, and both of the times that I seen him fight, he won. You know what I'm saying? He won both of the fights that I seen him fight live at. So, and I thought it was a good fight between those guys. Both guys are at like a crossroads in their career. So I thought that would have been a good fight for sure. But of course, Hank Lundy ends up getting suspended. You know, he already had a fight lined up before jumping into the fight with Broner, and then that caused some issues, and he got suspended. So that's opponent 2 that fell out. And then we move on to opponent 3, which is Michael Williams Jr. And you know, Broner was getting ready to fight him, and then you know, a week before the fight, Michael Williams Jr., you know, he suffered a broken jaw, and you know, in sparring. So and then that fight got called off. So that's 3 fighters back to back, man. That you know that just fell out, and you know, the fight with Broner never materialized. So like I said, man, I really feel for Broner, man, because if you do the math, that's four opponents. You know, Omar Figueroa, you know, that didn't happen. Michael Williams Jr., that didn't happen. Hank Lundy, that didn't happen. Ivan Redcat, that didn't happen. And then, long story short, news came out that Broner parted ways with Black Prime Network. So, you know, and now he's a free agent. So, you know, he just, you know, signed a deal with these guys, and now he's a free agent. So it's a crazy situation all around. You know what I'm saying? So I really feel for Adrien Broner, man. You know, I don't know what his next move is, and I'm looking that I was reading that Eddie Hearn said he's looking to sign him. And, you know, I think Eddie Hearn can definitely keep Adrien Broner busy. You know, I think Eddie Hearn can definitely give Broner a lot of options, but we just got to see how that's going to play out. And I think I read something about Broner Hopkins. Broner Hopkins is saying that he can probably sign, you know, Adrien Broner, you know, get him some fights. So, you know, I wish Adrien Broner the best of luck in his future. Like whoever he chooses to sign with, you know, I just hope that, you know, he can make some moves and, you know, and have some fights, you know, lined up for this year. And also, you know, I feel for the guys on the undercard. You know, Tevin Farmer and Mickey Bay. They were also supposed to fight last year, and that fight never materialized due to, you know, purse issues. You know, it was a lot of fighters on the undercard that had purse issues, you know, something about the fighters not getting paid correctly. So that card got cut off. So fast forward to this year, you know, Tevin Farmer and Mickey Bay was supposed to fight on Adrien Broner's undercard. Now the card, you know, has been postponed. And now, like I said, because Broner doesn't have an opponent. So now Broner parted ways with Black Prime. So I feel for Tevin Farmer. I feel for Mickey Bay, you know, I feel for Adrien Broner, man. It's a crazy situation all across the board. And, you know, also I also feel for Anthony Peterson, because, you know, Anthony Peterson, you know, he was supposed to fight on Tank and Hector Garcia card, you know, in January. He was supposed to fight on that undercard, and, you know, his fight never happened. I don't know what the issue was, but his brother Lamont Peterson did fight, you know, on the undercard, and unfortunately, you know, he got a stoppage, lost to a journeyman. But yeah, Anthony Peterson was supposed to fight on that card. Like I said, that never happened. Then fast forward, he was going to be on the, you know, the Adrien Broner undercard, and then since that fight got cut off, now Anthony Peterson is left without an opponent. So, you know, I just feel for these guys all across the board, man. You know, I feel for Broner, I feel for Mickey Bay and Tevin Farmer. You know, I feel for, you know, Anthony Peterson, man. So hopefully, you know, Anthony Peterson, you know, he can get something worked out, you know, and have a fight, you know, soon. And hopefully, you know, Tevin Farmer and Mickey Bay can get something worked out, because, you know, these guys were actually supposed to fight for a long time, and they never fought yet. So that, you know, that's just messing with the money at the end of the day, man. You know, these guys are trying to get in the ring and fight and get paid. And like I said, man, they didn't fight last year, and now they didn't fight just last weekend. So it's a crazy situation all across the board, man. Yeah. So Ryan Haley says, ever since I've been into boxing, he's had problems. Yeah, man. Adrien Broner's, you know, had a lot of, you know, issues outside of the ring, man. So like his career is just like, it's a funny situation, man. But the thing is, you know, Adrien Broner is still a draw. You know, when Adrien Broner fights, you know, everybody's going to tune in. Everybody's going to tune in and watch him. You know, he's entertaining. You know, he's one of the best at the mic. You know, he's he has nice press conferences. You know, he keeps the fans entertained. You know, with his trash talk. You know, like he has some crazy words. You know, with Leonard Allaby at a press conference, he has some crazy words with, you know, Al Bernstein. So Adrien Broner is one of the best trash talkers in the sport. So like I said, man, I wish the best for him in the future, man. Like hopefully maybe he'll choose to, you know, run with Eddie Hearn. So also I wanted to get into, Tim Zoo, Tim Zoo and Tony Harrison. That fight is gonna happen next Saturday. So I'm real excited for that fight. Tony Harrison is in Australia, so they're doing their build up to that fight. And I was watching an interview with Tony Harrison and Brian Custer, and that was an interesting interview. Tony Harrison was saying that a lot of people were saying that he got a bad chin. He's got a bad chin, but what he was trying to say was that if he had a bad chin, he would be getting knocked out in like the first round. He'd be getting knocked out in like the second round. But he said that's not the case. He said he fades in the late rounds, and when he fades, his chin goes. You know what I'm saying? So we seen him get knocked out by Charlo. We seen him get knocked out by Willie Nelson. He was knocked out by Jared Hurd, and in that fight with Jared Hurd, you can tell that he was out of gas. You can tell he was out of gas because when he got up and the ref was counting, he spit the mouthpiece out, and the ref called it off. So I hope in this fight with Tim Zoo, I hope that Tony Harrison definitely has been working on like his conditioning. And like I said, if the Tony Harrison shows up that fought Jermell Charlo in the rematch, to me, he's gonna whip Tim Zoo. Because even though that Tony Harrison really, to me, he really lost the first fight. But according to the judges, he won, and he became the new champion. And but in the rematch with Jermell Charlo, he was dodging him. The Tony Harrison in the first fight definitely lost, but in the rematch, Tony Harrison was just whooping Jermell Charlo. So if that Tony Harrison shows up in this Tim Zoo fight, man, I got Tony Harrison winning. And I got a question for everybody. If Tony Harrison does beat Tim Zoo, do you guys want to see a trilogy with Charlo? That's one thing I'm really interested, to see if it happens. If Tony Harrison does get past Tim Zoo, would a trilogy happen with Jermell Charlo? I think I want to see it. Both guys want to fight. Tony Harrison won the first, Jermell won the second. So I think it makes sense, to have a trilogy if Tony Harrison does get past, Tim Zoo in Australia. But this is going to be, Tim Zoo's backyard. It's going to be in Australia, so I think that it's pressure. It's pressure on both guys. It's definitely pressure on both guys. But I think it's more pressure on Tim Zoo. Well, it's pressure on both guys because Tony Harrison, he's got a few knockout losses. He doesn't have the best gas tank, and Tim Zoo, he's fighting a former champion and a big name, and in his hometown. So I think the pressure is on both guys. So this is a fight that I'm really interested in seeing. I can't wait. And I was reading earlier that this fight is supposed to happen like at like 10:45. So it's gonna start real late because it is in Australia. So I don't know if the main event is gonna start at like 10:45 or if they're gonna have like undercard starting like at 10:45. So whatever the case is, man, this is definitely going to be, a late card. So, I'm definitely going to have to try to stay up, because I do want to cover this fight. And, I do want to cover the fight. I'm really excited to see it. So, hopefully if everybody stays up, tune in with your boy. We can cover the fight together for sure. Ryan Haley says, "Yeah, I watched that. If they had a trilogy, yeah, man, I'm excited to see it. Like I said, I feel that Tony Harrison was winning. He was winning, the rematch until the stoppage. But like I said before, I felt his showboating, caught up with him. His showboating. He was just showboating early in the fight, and he was showboating. He was showboating in that same round that he was knocked out in. So to me, it backfired, and he blew that fight. But that, like I said, that prior to all that, Tony Harrison was walking down Jermell, so he was definitely game. So if that Tony Harrison shows up against Tim Zoo, I got Tony Harrison winning this fight. But Tim Zoo is a good fighter. He's never lost. So like I said, he was dropped by Terrell Goucher, but he came back strong and beat Terrell Goucher by decision. So I'm definitely looking forward for that fight. That I said that fight is next Saturday. This Saturday we got Mark Messiah versus Brandon Figueroa, the Heartbreak Kid. So I'm looking forward to that fight. I got Brandon Figueroa winning this fight. I'm not really too high on Mark Masayo. You know, I did see Mark Masayo fight live against Gary Russell, and the fact that he went the distance with Gary Russell, and Gary Russell basically fought with one arm. You know, I just told myself that he wasn't going to be champion too long, and of course that he lost the title in his first title defense to Ray Vargas. So I just knew I just wasn't really high. I just wasn't really high on Mark Masayo. But yeah, for this fight, I'm definitely going to go for Brandon Figueroa. You know, I mentioned before Brandon Figueroa, man, he's a fighter that just keeps coming. He's got a crazy gas tank. He throws crazy combinations. You know, he's got like a bully style. And that fight with Cool Boy Fulton, I felt that Fulton was in serious trouble in that fight. He was hurt multiple times. Yes, Fulton landed cleaner punches. He landed the cleaner punches. Brandon Figueroa's, his face was real bruised up and everything. So you could argue that fight could have went in Figueroa's favor, or you could argue that it could have been a draw. But I was cool with the decision. Like I said, Cool Boy. Like I said, he landed the cleaner punches. But you could definitely tell that he was uncomfortable in that fight. And for what I understand, they were supposed to be having a rematch, but Brandon Figueroa is running with Mark Masayo, and Cool Boy is going to be fighting in Noi. And, he's going to be fighting in Noi, I believe, in May or June. He's going to be flying to, Japan for that fight. And, to me, that's a worse fight. That's a worse fight for Cool Boy because, Noi, he's got serious power. He's like 21 wins or like 24 fights. So, to me, this is an even tougher fight for, Cool Boy. But, Cool Boy, he's skillful. He's skillful. He just doesn't have a lot of power. So, it's a feather-fisted guy versus, a power puncher. So, I'm concerned for Cool Boy. Ryan Hanley says, I think Charlo takes the third fight. Yeah, Charlo, he's, like I said before, he's my favorite fighter. But, both guys are good fighters. But the thing is, can Tony Harrison focus 100%? Can he focus 100% without showboating? Can he go into that fight, with the best gas tank and not fade in the later rounds? So, that gas tank on Tony Harrison is the only thing that worries me. You know what I mean? If he had like a good gas tank, man, and he fights Charlo, if he fights Charlo in the trilogy like he did in that second fight, I got Tony Harrison. I got Tony Harrison winning unless Charlo, gets like a nice stoppage, because Charlo's got serious power. He's knocked out all the champions. He's knocked out Castano, he's knocked out Rosario. So he's got crazy power. Like he knocked out Lubin in the first round. So Jermell Charlo, he's got a lot of power, man. He's one hell of a power puncher. So. But like we said, we gotta wait to see what happens with the Tim Tszyu and Tony Harrison fight. And in the interview with Brian Custer, Custer asked, Tony Harrison, he said, who's the best fighter out of Detroit, out of everybody in Detroit? And, Tony Harrison, he said me. You know what I'm saying? So that was a funny interview, man. If you ever seen that interview with Harrison and Brian Custer, check that interview out, man. So yeah, I'm excited. Like I said, I'm excited for that fight. Like I said, that fight is going to start late. It's going to start about 10:45. So that's going to be a late time for that fight to start. But again, that fight will be in Australia. So also, we got the news with Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia. That fight is going to be happening on April 22nd. It was originally scheduled for April 15th, but it's been pushed back a week. So it's going to be April 22nd. It's going to be in Las Vegas. The venue hasn't been determined yet. They're saying that it's going to be either like MGM, it's going to be the T-Mobile Arena, it's probably going even the Raider Stadium. So it's looking between those three venues. But I'm excited for the fight. I can't wait to see it. And as far as this rematch clause situation, there were some issues going on. From
I want to talk to you when we get done with that.
Yeah, there were some issues going on, with the rematch clause, and from what I understand, that if Tank Davis won the fight, if he wins the fight, then he can move forward and he doesn't have to worry about a rematch. But if Ryan Garcia wins, then Tank gets to activate the rematch clause. So it just seems like the PBC side, they always looking for the A side advantage. So again, if Tank wins, he gets to move on, and if Ryan Garcia wins, then Tank gets to activate the rematch clause. So I'm definitely interested, to see how the fight's going to play out. I am going to go for Tank Davis, by stoppage, but Ryan Garcia is definitely going to be, the toughest opponent on, Tank's resume. Ryan Garcia, he's fast, he's fast, he's got power, so definitely a good fight. So we got Jay Reddy in the building. Who shout out to Jay Reddy? He says skillful, yeah, skillful for sure. Ryan Hanley, he says, I read they made the fight happen before Tank is getting some charges pressed against him. Yeah, so the follow up on that, Ryan. So after the fight, Tank is he is supposed to be be going to jail, in May. So, but I don't. Yeah, to be honest with you, I don't think he's gonna really do any major time. We've seen this situation with Floyd Mayweather and Miguel Cotto. After Floyd Mayweather fought Miguel Cotto, he did a little jail stint, but it was like for 30 days. And so like right after a big fight, he ended up joining a jail stand. I think, and the same thing might happen with the Tank situation. I think he's going to go to jail, but he's just going to do a little stint. He's going to be right back out, and he's probably going to be fighting later on in the year. But yeah, I'm definitely I'm excited for this card. This is probably like one of the biggest cards for this year. Again, I'm gonna go for Tank. I'm gonna go for Tank probably by, I would say, a late stoppage. I think Ryan Garcia is going to win. I think he's going to win on. He's probably going to win on the scorecards. But Tank and his time and his power, he's eventually going to clip Ryan Garcia and get him out of there. I would say probably like mid to late rounds. So also let me see what else I can get into. Yeah. So Conor Benn, and Michelle Rivera, definitely want to speak on that. These guys, Conor Benn, he was recently caught with PEDs, and now he's coming out saying something about, he ate bad eggs. So like, to me, it sounds like a whole bunch of BS. Because we seen this situation with Canelo. Canelo was saying something like, he ate contaminated meat, and like, these fighters, when they get caught with PEDs, like they don't really get any major suspensions. Canelo got a 6-month suspension, and then the next thing he was right in there fighting Triple G right after suspension. So to me, Canelo didn't get a suspension. He got a training camp. You know what I'm saying? He didn't get no suspension. He got a training camp. So like, to me, in the sport of boxing, fighters passed away after fights. Fighters go into comas. So like, to me, when these fighters get popped for PEDs, it has to be major and serious repercussions. You know what I'm saying? Because like these you're playing with fighters' health. You know what I'm saying? You could pass away in this sport. It's a brutal sport. So like, when these fighters get caught with PEDs, man, they need serious repercussions and serious suspensions. Big Baby Miller, he did get one of the longest suspensions, but he was caught with PEDs back to back. Ryan Haney says you gotta go live for that one. Yeah, I'm definitely go live for Tank Davis. Definitely gonna go live for Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia. Like I said, that's a blockbuster fight. That's a fight that I can't wait to see for sure. Give me some. Jay Reddy says, boiling Ben. That's funny. Yeah, so Conor Benn, man, he's definitely, he's been in the headlines, he's been in the headlines, he's coming out saying, he wants Manny Pacquiao, so we just got to see how the situation plays out with Conor Benn. And as far as Michelle Rivera, he was popped for PEDs, and for his fight with Frank Martin. And my thing is this, in that fight with Frank Martin, he looked terrible. You know what I'm saying? He looked terrible in that fight with Frank Martin. So like, if you taking PEDs, you trying to get an advantage, you would think he would go in there looking great against Frank Martin. But to me, Michelle Rivera didn't look good in that fight at all. He was just throwing a lot of 1-2s. He wasn't throwing a lot of combinations. He wasn't good with his footwork. And as I mentioned before, he's got Ali in his name, but the only thing that he has that resembles Ali is his looks. But he don't have the personality like Ali. He don't have He don't have the footwork like Ali. He don't got the speed like Ali. You know what I'm saying? The only thing he got like Ali is just, is just his looks. But yeah, Michelle Rivera, he's got a 6-month suspension. He got a 6-month suspension, and he was fined like 15K out of his 100,000 purse. So he's gonna be on the shelf for 6 months. But like I said, 6 months, that's not really suspension. He can train. He can train the whole 6 months he's suspended, and then as soon as he come off suspension, he can have a fight date lined up, the next month. Like I said, this is what happened with Canelo and Triple G. Ryan Haney says, Ben is a good fighter. I don't get why these guys try and cheat if they are skilled. But yeah, like Ryan, to follow up on that, like me and Chris G, who shout out to him, and me and G5, who shout out to him. We talked about this, a lot of times, what I'm saying, like Chris G has a saying, 90% of fighters are on PEDs, they just don't get caught. They finally get caught, then everybody's shot, but they just don't get caught. So like they say that Vada is like the one. Vada is the one that tests for everything, and but a lot of these fighters, they don't use VADA, they use the other drug agencies, and when they use these other agencies are not finding no PEDs, but when they go to VADA is the one that's testing for everything, and they get caught. So if Michelle Rivera just now get caught, you got to ask yourself how many times has he taken PEDs? He's probably taken PEDs in his last fights, you know what I'm saying? So he just happened to get caught. So yeah, like Chris G got a saying, that 90% of fighters are on PEDs. They're just not getting caught. But it's been a whole list of fighters that's been popped for PEDs, man. It's been Shane Mosley, he was popped for PEDs. Luis Ortiz was popped for PEDs. Lamont Peterson was popped for PEDs. So the list goes on and on. Of course, Big Baby Miller popped for PEDs. So it's nothing new. It's nothing new. With these fighters getting popped for PEDs. But like I said, man, these fighters just need to get serious repercussions, and they need to get longer suspensions. They have to. A statement has to be made against these fighters, if they're getting popped, and trying to cheat. Because like I said, man, these fighters, their health is on the line. You know what I'm saying? We want to make sure that, these fighters get back to their families at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So also, I wanted to get into this Wilder. I wanted to get into Wilder and Andy Ruiz. This fight doesn't look like it's happening. I don't think it's going to happen. From what I understand, that Wilder was trying to say that, he wasn't getting a big purse for this fight. He was only going to get like a couple of million or something like that. And I'm reading that Andy Ruiz, he split with PBC, and he's a free agent. So I don't think this fight is going to happen. And then I was reading that Andy Ruiz and Herkovich was having a purse bid, and it looks like they're possibly going to be fighting. I'm not sure. That's just what I read. So my thing is this, since Wilder and Andy Ruiz are not fighting, what options are left for Wilder? You know what I'm saying? Since he's on the PBC side, it's not really a lot of options on the PBC side. He's already beaten Luis Ortiz twice. He just beat Robert Helenius. Kalnick, lost 3 straight. So like what options, like y'all give me some options that y'all think is for Wilder in the comment section. What options do you think is available for him? Like I can't see any options on the PBC side. I can just see Wilder definitely, crossing the street and trying to make a fight happen, with like a fighter on, on a different promotional team. Like we seen Wilder and Tyson Fury, fight 3 times. Tyson Fury is with Bob Arum, and Tyson Fury fights on ESPN. So I definitely can see Wilder, having a fight with a fighter on a different promotion team. I would like to see Wilder and Dylan White. Dylan White just had a nice win over Jermaine Franklin. But the thing is, Dylan White just got such a bad chin. So, if they fight, I got Wilder by, like an early KO. Yeah, and Dylan White's a fighter, that's been calling out Wilder for a long time. But I don't know what's going to happen for Wilder at this point. He was saying that he was trying to do a deal with the UFC fighter Francis, and to me that's simple. Trying to go over the UFC and fight this guy, or Francis come to boxing and fight Wilder. So I don't like that. Wilder trying to fight a UFC guy, but options. And like we just seen Jake Paul, we just seen Jake Paul, Tommy Ferry. So anything is possible in the sport of boxing. But for Wilder at this point in his career, being 37 years old, I just want him to focus, mainly on boxing. Try to fight a fighter, not a UFC guy. But yeah, I definitely would like to see Wilder versus Dylan White. And if Anthony Joshua gets past Jermaine Franklin, then hopefully later on this year, like maybe the summer or maybe the winter, we can finally get Wilder and Joshua this year. It's possible. That's a fight that I'd like to see. Even though both guys already took a few losses. All right, getting these comments. Jay Reddy says, do you think he would keep wearing Ali shorts? Nah, not now. Since he's been suspended and since he's been fined, he's gotta go back to the drawing board and find out who Michelle Rivera is, and not try to resemble Ali. He's got to go back to the drawing board and figure out who he is as a fighter, and not try to piggyback off the greatest. You know what I'm saying? Ryan Hanley says AJ would be cool to see. Yeah, for sure. Says crossing with Eddie soon. Yeah, I hope, but I do hope we do. I do hope we get Wilder and AJ. Like I said, both guys have lost 2 times, but it's still a big fight. Both guys would still get big paydays. I'm sure it would. I'm sure it would sell out wherever it would be at. I'm sure it would do good pay-per-view numbers. So it's a fight that I still would like to see. But I do have Wilder, knocking out AJ early, because AJ doesn't have the best chin, and he also doesn't have the best gas tank. So I'm definitely going for Wilder in that fight. Like I said, man, I'm curious just to see what Wilder's next move is going to be, because like I said, he fought Robert Helenius in October, and that ended in the first round. So Wilder's only fought 1 round, so definitely want to see him get back in there and get some rounds in for sure. So let me see what else I can get into before I close this one out. So yeah, it's been ordered by the WBO for Terrence Crawford versus Alexis Rocha. That's not a fight. It's not a fight that I'm too hype about. But I figured that this fight would be next if it does happen, because like I said before, that Spence is busy with Thurman. I even didn't hear anything about that lately, but Spence and Thurman is supposed to be fighting, and Virgil Ortiz and Stanionis are supposed to be fighting at the end of April, and I probably will be going to that fight. Tickets have gone on sale for that fight. Tickets actually dropped for that fight today, so I'm definitely going to be checking those tickets out. So yeah, to me it seems like the only option for Crawford right now is Alexis Rocha, but I think this is easy work for him. And if that fight does happen, I got Crawford winning this fight easily, and then I could see him maybe getting the winner of Virgil Ortiz or versus Stanionis. I hope it would be Virgil Ortiz, because I definitely would like to see Crawford versus Virgil Ortiz. But I still feel that Crawford is on another level. I'm saying he's got power. Virgil Ortiz has power as well, and Crawford, he's real crafty. He's got good footwork, even at his age, he's got good footwork. So yeah. But as far as Crawford and Alexis Rocha, it looks like that's going to be happening. And like I said, I got Crawford in this fight. Jay Reddy says, I heard he signed with Golden Boy now. Terrence Crawford. Yeah, it was. I remember seeing some pictures with Terrence Crawford and Oscar De La Hoya. So yeah, he probably is with Golden Boy. I'm not sure, but he could be. Like I said, if he's going to be fighting Alexis Rocha, it's possibly that Terrence Crawford can be going with Golden Boy, because he just had a fight with David Avenesian on Black Prime Network. But I'm concerned with this Black Prime Network thing, because David Avenesian wasn't the fighter that everybody wanted to see Terrence Crawford fight, and then Black Prime Network's next biggest fight was going to be Adrien Broner. Of course, that fell out, with the 3 opponents. So I'm just I'm concerned. I'm concerned with Black Prime Network, but definitely we just definitely got to see what's going to happen with them. Later on this year, later on down the road. Yeah. Also, on the undercard of Mark Masayo versus Brandon Figueroa, it's the return of Jared Hurd. Jared Hurd is from Maryland, so I got to ride with my guy all day. Jared Hurd. I'm not sure. I'm not too familiar with the guy he's fighting, but I looked him up on BoxRec. He's got like 13 fights with like 10 knockouts, and that concerns me, because Jared Hurd doesn't have the best chin. You know what I'm saying? Jared Hurd doesn't have the best chin. He takes a lot of shots. He takes a lot of shots, man. He's like a bobblehead. You know what I mean? He gets hit. His head keep bobbing. You know what I'm saying? But Jared Hurd, man, he's definitely he was a good fighter. He was a unified champion before he lost to J-Rock. He's had some good wins over Laura. He had some nice wins over Austin Trout. He had a nice win over Tony Harrison. So Jared Hurd is definitely a good fighter, man. Just lately, man, I just felt like he's just been on a decline. But hopefully, this Saturday, it'll be a good fight, and we made the best man win. That's all I can say, man. Like I said, I don't know too much about his opponent. Like I said, his opponent does have power, and that worries me. But made the best man win. But since I'm from Maryland, I'm going to root for Jared Hurd all day. And also speaking of Jared Hurd, he lost to J-Rock. The news just came out that J-Rock is going to be fighting Carlos Adames, and man, to me this is a terrible fight for J-Rock. J-Rock doesn't have the best chin. J-Rock was dropped by a jab to Jamal Charlo. He was dropped in that fight by Jamal Charlo. J-Rock lost to Banana Rosario. He was stopped in that fight. So J-Rock doesn't have the best. He doesn't have the best chin, and he went from being a unified champion to fighting on a YouTube prelim. So his last fight was on YouTube prelim. So I'm seeing a lot of people saying this is a bad fight for J-Rock, man. Carlos Adames, man, his power is different, man. His power is next level. If you haven't seen that stoppage over Juan Matil, definitely check out the highlights of that fight. And if you're not familiar with Juan Matil, he's the guy that stopped James Kirkland in the first round. But James Kirkland, man, he's washed up, man. He took a bad beating against Canelo. He's got the worst defense for a fighter that I've ever seen. So Juan Matil, he stopped Kirkland, and Carlos Adames, had an early stoppage over Juan Matil. So if you haven't seen that stoppage, man, check that stoppage out. But like I said, man, this is a terrible fight for J-Rock. And I asked myself, man, I'm like, what is Al Heyman doing with J-Rock? We know that he doesn't have the best chin, but yet he's getting put in with a power puncher. And, I seen this, some other fighters that were signed to Al Heyman, but I'm not going to mention their names. I'll keep their names. I don't want to mention that on camera, but I've seen this before, man. Some guys who got bad chin that just kept getting put in with power punches, and they keep getting stopped. So to me, this fight for J-Rock, man. This is like suicide, man. This is going to be like first degree murder for J-Rock, man. I feel bad for J-Rock taking this fight, but at the end of the day, man, he's got bread, man, who's an awesome trainer. And J-Rock's already proved everybody wrong, when he beat Jared Hurd and became unified champion. I was going for Hurd in that fight, but J-Rock definitely proved us wrong. So he could prove us wrong again. Anything can happen in the sport of boxing. Jay Reddy said the Terrence Crawford have to sign. I thought by Rocha being mandatory, he didn't need to sign and remain a free agent. I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I gotta dig some more into that and do my research on that. But I just thought that Crawford was tied with Black Prime. Since that's that's the network that he fought on last. But like I was saying earlier, I don't know the direction that Black Prime is going in. Like I said, the situation with Adrien Broner, he signed like a 3-fight deal for $10 million, and that backfired. So I don't know what's going to happen, as far as Black Prime. But yeah, I got to do some more digging into that. But I think that Crawford could be possibly signing with Golden Boy, because as I was saying earlier, I did see some pictures with him and De La Hoya, and they were in talks. So definitely looking forward to see what Terrence Crawford next move is going to be. Jay Reddy says, yeah, terrible matchup. Yeah, that's a terrible matchup. If you're talking about J Rock and Carlos Adames, that's a terrible matchup, man. Jay Reddy says, laughing out loud. Jay Reddy, Terrence Crawford, dump, bad luck Prime. That's funny. Yeah, man. So we just got to see what's gonna happen. We just got to see what's gonna happen. Black Prime. It's not looking good for him. You know what I'm saying? They just started, and already it's not looking good. So, but I wish him the best, man. I hope they can get some things worked out, and just push forward, and hopefully they can give the fans some good fights, for the remainder of 2023. And yeah, before I close this one out, man, like I was saying earlier, I just want to keep this episode short and sweet. Like I said, I covered the Jake Paul and Tommy Fury fight, and like I said, that fight got the most views. So I appreciate everybody, that tuned in. And far as the fight, as it got closer, I predicted that Jake Paul would lose, because this is his first time fighting a real boxer. They were supposed to make this fight happen like 2 years ago, but it fell out. It fell out for different reasons both times. But they finally settled it. And Tommy Fury won. And the thing is, they actually made a belt. They actually made a belt for those guys. And Tommy Fury is the champion. So they made a belt, and Tommy Fury is champion. But I didn't understand that, making a belt, for a guy that's not even a real boxer at the end of the day. But yeah, I predicted that, Jake Paul would lose, because, it was his first time fighting a real boxer. But credit to him, he got a knockdown in the last round. And, so Jake Paul, he's not down boxers, he's not down UFC fighters and Anderson Silva. He's knocked out UFC fighter Tyron Woodley. He knocked out Nate Robinson. So, he's knocking guys out. He's putting guys down. So he's definitely got power, and he's doing this thing in the boxing world. But yeah, Tommy Fury was definitely winning those rounds. One thing I did like what Jake Paul was doing, like he kept leaning in and throwing a straight hand, leaning in, throwing a jab, and he kept landing that punch consistently on Tommy Fury, and that's the same punch that put him down in the last round. So Jake Paul, he definitely has some skills, and he can exercise his rematch clause, and they can run it back. I'm sure they will run it back, because at the end of the day, both guys got massive paydays. They were saying Jake Paul got about 25 to 30 million, and Tommy Fury got like 7 to 10 million, if I'm not mistaken. So both guys got massive paydays. So I can't see why they wouldn't run it back and both get another massive payday. So I'm thinking the rematch is going to happen. I think it would do, good numbers. It'll sell out wherever it's going to be at. So definitely looking forward to see what's going to happen between those two. So yeah, man, I'm gonna go ahead and close this one out, man. Like I said, I was going to keep this episode short and sweet. Almost 45 minutes strong. Appreciate everybody, rocking with me in the comment section. Appreciate Ron Hanley, tuned in. Appreciate Jay Reddy. Appreciate you guys tuning in with me. Like I said, I will be covering Mark Messiah versus Brandon Figueroa this Saturday. Like I said, Brandon Figueroa, man, he's a fighter that I would not fight, man. Like I said, man, he's a workhorse, man. He's got a crazy gas tank. He just keeps coming forward, just keeps throwing crazy combinations. So I got Brandon Figueroa, winning this fight easily, but I don't know what the game plan for Mark Messiah is. So definitely, looking forward to that card this weekend. Like I said, Jared Hurd will be on the undercard. So, looking to see how that fight's going to play out. Like I said, I am concerned for him, because this guy's got power. So yeah. And then, like I said, next Saturday we got Tony Harrison versus Tim Tszyu. Definitely can't wait to cover that fight. And Showtime just came out with the cards that they got lined up. So for next month, they got for this month it's Tony Harrison and Tim Tszyu, next Saturday, and then March 25th is Caleb Plant and David Benavidez. And then for April, we got we got Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia, and it's another card. It's another card too, which is, let me see. Yeah, Rolly Romero returns against Pulo, so that's another card. So yeah, Showtime is definitely, you know, doing a thing. Got some nice cards, you know, coming up. So definitely going to be covering a lot of fights, man, for sure. So Jay Reddy says, good stuff. Stay on the grind, man. Appreciate it, man. Like again, man. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and close this one out, man. Like I was saying, you know, I've been staying busy. You know what I'm saying? Last Saturday I covered Ponce versus Matias. You know, Sunday I covered Jake Paul versus, you know, Tommy Fury. Monday I had an interview with Destiny Day Owens. Like I said, if you haven't seen that interview, you know, check that interview out with Destiny. You know, she was the first, you know, female boxer, you know, to come on my channel. So, you know, I appreciate that opportunity, you know, to have a professional female boxer on my channel. So give her a follow. You know, she's doing big things with her career. You know, she just traveled out to California. So, you know, definitely looking to see what's going to happen with her. You know, undefeated female boxer, you know, right from my state in Maryland. So definitely give Destiny a follow. Man, again, you know, I appreciate, you know, Wilton Henry covering the Jake Paul and Tommy Fury fight with me. Subscribe to his channel. Last one's at the bar. Who shout out to his co-host Val Jackson for coming on with me as well. And who shout out to my guy, you know, Chris G for, you know, covering the Matias versus Ponce fight. So, you know, big shout out to him. And big shout out to everybody, man. Who shout out to my guy G5 Jeff TV. You know, he's invited me on so many of his episodes. So if you're not subscribed to the Goodfellas podcast, definitely, you know, subscribe to them. Subscribe to his channel, the Goodfellas and G5 Jeff TV. And yeah, man. So I'm gonna go ahead and close this one out, man. You know, 45 minutes strong. You know, you can catch me on TikTok as the Legend 3347. You can find me on IG, the same name, the Legend 3347. I'm on Facebook as Todd Finney, and you guys just witnessed episode 17 on the In This Corner podcast. I'll see you guys again on Saturday. Peace.